Welcome, everybody. Let's check out the political temperature in the villages this week. To the editor, I am on the verge of voting for the 16th time in a presidential election. Congratulations, 16 times. That's you've lived a good long life. And I simply cannot understand how we as a nation have managed to put forward the two worst candidates ever nominated. I tried watching the debate between Trump and Harris, but could not see why I should vote for either candidate. One candidate is totally unqualified by virtue of having zero relevant experience or accomplishments. The other lacks any semblance of sober, reflective judgment. Meanwhile, I suppose I just have to write in someone who would have been on the ballot and wait for some sanity to break out in 2028. That's sent in by David Pierce, the village of Buttonwood. Well said, David. I get tired of that stuff myself. I hear it all the time, people making the comments, well, we have to vote for the lesser of two evils. And I've often thought, that just seemed totally asinine to me. And it ain't just this election that I've heard that. So you're saying you're voting for your 16th time. You've heard that kind of stuff before. I know you have. I don't get it either. I said, it's too bad that in our Constitution, and we don't have that we don't have a reset button in there where people can vote and say, we don't like neither one of these people. We want two more. I wish we could, but we can't. So we have to vote for what we believe is best for the country, right? But thanks for the letter. I like it. To the editor. Forbes magazine recent study indicates 57% of our billionaires favor Harris over Trump. Why would most billionaires of America support Kamala over Donald? Does this group believe they can influence her more than him after the election? One point can be made if elected. She and her administration will be in the billionaires' pockets. They will have access to millions of undocumented low-wage workers subsidized by government handouts at the expense of the middle class. Our school tax dollars will pay to educate the undocumented non-citizen children for generations of subserviency. Our billionaires know Trump deportation plans will rob them of this low tax-paying workforce. They also know they will have to foot the bill with increased minimum wages and training programs to lure our lower-income citizens into their corporations. Queen Kamala toots the theory of the top 1% not paying their fair share and how Trump's policies will cater to this group. Is she wrong? Or is she, as usual, just attempting to divide and conquer? Is she playing the large percentage of those who pay less taxes against the belief the 1%er will reap Republican rewards? Keep in mind, as of March 2024, the bottom 50% of Americans only paid 2.3% of the total federal taxes collected. Understand this 57% of billionaires believe they can better control Kamala over Trump after the election. However, they can't control our votes prior to this election. Don't think rich, think smart. Vote like your future livelihood depends on it. And it does. That's sent in by Joel Kinsman from the village of Glenbrook. Well, thank you, Joel. By the way, I'm not going back and forth from Democrat letter to a Republican letter. I'm just taking them at random. I picked out 5 or 6 of them I thought was pretty good, and I'm just reading them to you. You can have your own opinions. To the editor, MAGA cultists, I love that, cultists. Everybody's wanting to call you a cult. I don't even know if they know what a cult is. MAGA cultists are beneath contempt. Well, then you're going to hate me, but I am voting for Donald Trump, already have. I'm not ashamed of it. It's my right. You don't have to like it, and that's your right. On January 6, 2021, a violent mob attacked the United States Capitol at the direction of Donald Trump. Not true, but if you want to believe that, that's okay. A brave police officer defended the Capitol, had an eye gouged out by the MAGA terrorists that day, and yet the MAGA cult members still support this man. Back the blue. I say that about all police departments. And apparently I'm not too far off because I've got a collection of police hats. I'll just say first responder hats. Here's a recent one I just got. So I get a lot of emails from different people with police departments or first responder departments. So I got a good feel of how they feel about a lot of things. Where did the cultists go wrong? What happened to their brains that this is acceptable? In the likelihood that Trump will lose the election because of his character, and unfitness for office, and the fact that most voters are not MAGA cult members, there are numbers of publications that may be helpful for them after November 5 to break from the cult and get the help they need as Trumps. You know, insulting people, a group of people, is not the way to get the vote. And that's all you're doing here. As Trump's political career is soon to end, and he will face justice for the crimes he has committed. That's sent in by Jeff Knapp from the village of Pine Ridge. Well, Jeff, I appreciate your letter. My only response to most of this is, like most people I know that will not vote for Trump, and that's your political right, your freedom of constitution right, everything, is you just want to not vote for him out of hate. You're not talking about voting for what's good for the country. You're just talking about how much you hate him. You hate him for this. You hate him for that. I'm not voting for that guy because I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I'll vote for anybody before I vote for him. Well, I look at it very simply. I look at when he was in office, how was my life here? And then for the last 4 years that this administration has been in power, how is my life now? And how's the country now? You know, the country has a thermometer. And right now, our country is sick. And that's how I see it. This is in response to a letter that I just read about the guy was talking about writing in a vote. Yeah, I'm not big on that either, but it's his right. To the editor, I'm astounded that a villager will write in another candidate, thereby giving up his right to vote because he sees no difference between the major candidates. This election presents the most definable difference, the hugest gap between the major candidates that has occurred in my voting lifetime. I don't care which side you're on. Well, that's not true. Of course I care because of that enormous gap of suitability, but I have the same request of you regardless. Please do not be the one to vote that will abdicate all responsibility and say smugly after the election of the wrong person, I didn't vote for either of them. If you feel conflicted, at least cast your vote for one who you believe will be less damage to our country. That's key what he just said. To our country, not you. That's sent in by Doris Bryant from the village of Briar Meadow. Well said, Doris. Well said. I do believe that. Write-in vote is just a way of just throwing a vote out the window because nobody else is going to do that write-in vote. And you might as well just not even go. Save yourself time, just not even go. Here's a nice little letter from somebody that lives in my neighborhood from Hillsboro. To the editor, the old man tees up and hits the ball into the rough. Another older man hits the ball out of the rough and onto the green. Then the politically weaponized Supreme Court decides to change the constitutional rule of law and how to play the game. Now the next generation must putt for par to save our American freedom from destruction and dictatorship. Please vote wisely. God bless the United States of America. That's sent in by William Grosjean from the village of Hillsboro. Nice little play on the game there of golf and your voting rights. Thanks for sending that in there, William. To the editor, as voters, this election is literally the easiest one in history for us to select a candidate. We've all lived under Trump, and we've all lived under the Biden-Harris. If your life was better under Trump, vote for him. If your life was better under Biden-Harris, vote for Harris. Neither candidate needs to say one word about what they are or not going to do. That ship has sailed. We've lived under both regimes, and we will be voting accordingly, period. Sent in by Susan Conlon from the village of Bel Air. Bravo, Susan. I've been trying to say that for the longest time. I don't pick a side for anybody else. I pick a side for me. And that's exactly how I pick my side. How was life for me and the country then? And how has life been for me and the country now? Easy choice for me. It sounds like an easy choice for you. I just hope that everybody in America, when they vote, they actually vote for what seriously is good for the country and not for you. The voting is about the country, and the United States leads the world. So whatever's good for us in general is good for the world. And right now, the world's topsy-turvy. It's a mess. Our country is a mess. We all know it's a mess, whether you want to admit it or not. We have to turn this thing around because if nothing else, we have to leave a better country than what we inherited from our parents and grandparents for our children and grandchildren. And right now, I don't want my grandchildren to be in this kind of a country, and they are. So my grandchildren, I don't believe, and I've said it before, I don't believe our grandchildren are ever going to see the country that we grew up in. And I think that's a shame. So with that being said, I'm just going to say vote wisely, vote smart, vote for what's good for America, and vote for what's good for the world. And with that being said, I just want to say, God bless the American voter, and God bless America.